SuiteBilling is a module. It's a NetSuite module specific. It lives inside of NetSuite and is primarily an accounting-based subscription management solution. I pulled on one of my team members, Grant, who implements SuiteBilling, just so we can have some dialogue back and forth to talk a little bit more deeper about it. And I've done a lot of solution design components that combining e-commerce with SuiteBilling that we can go through as well. Just cool use cases that may be out of the ordinary. There's a lot of things that SuiteBilling has that a lot of other subscription management tools don't have that we'll touch on too, especially from the accounting perspective. People will find that pretty interesting. So, Grant, I know that you've worked on SuiteBilling in the past, and one thing I wanted just to talk through about from your perspective, what do you think is really unique and pretty cool about SuiteBilling that you found pretty interesting overall?
Yeah. Well, what I've found to be most helpful with SuiteBilling is how seamless it flows into just your general NetSuite experience. So you can add subscriptions right from a sales order. From that, you can manage the subscription itself because it creates its own subscription record where you're able to modify the subscription, terminate, deactivated if something, if they want to suspend for a while, and then reactivate that same subscription itself. It blends into revenue recognition if you're using that advanced billing as well. It just makes it really easy to handle any sort of subscription model, basically.
I think the most unique thing that you just said that really stands out to me is the revenue recognition component, because NetSuite's largely an accounting-based software that has all the modules for manufacturing, software services, whatever that may be. So, in a revenue recognition scenario, is there like one or two examples where that might be a good use case that applies?
Yeah, if it's a longer term subscription, you can use the revenue recognition from that subscription to help forecast revenues for the year, and looking forward a couple of years, even depending on how long the subscription term is. So it's a really powerful tool for uh, profitability forecasting, customer forecasting, all sorts of more advanced reporting features.
Ah, okay. So let's say we've got an annual plan or a 2-year plan, then you'll be able to create your unique revenue recognition rules. And if people aren't familiar with how that works in NetSuite, there's a number of ways you can configure it. But generally speaking, you configure it to be like a month by month when you're recognizing the revenue. Let's say it's a 1-year plan, so divided by 12. That could be an example, divided by 4 and doing quarterly. So there's different ways to configure it, and then you can apply that same revenue recognition plan to these sweet billing subscriptions. So that's effectively how that piece works. Now, you mentioned the inactivate. That sounds like it's really just a pausing, kind of like a pause functionality. I've seen scenarios where on Sweet Commerce we take the My Account, and we could do it on just the My Account for people that are purely subscription management, maybe a B2B subscription management, where we've taken the My Account and surface and interact with those subscription records. So anything that you would do manually within the NetSuite interface, we can actually surface that to a customer portal experience on the website to create maybe a pausing functionality, or maybe just cancel, modify the subscriptions. That customer portal experience overall is pretty useful for Sweet Billing. I have noticed that there is so many variables for subscriptions that exist. And one thing that's come up recently for people that have subscriptions is that a lot of subscription management solutions that are third-party applications, they maybe have a low recurring cost, but they make money on the per transaction. And if you're doing many millions of dollars through subscriptions, that per transaction fee that you get charged through a lot of these subscription management solutions really adds up quick into I've seen scenarios where people pay 1 million a year in transaction fees through subscription management solutions outside of the payment processing and like a credit card payment processor. So I do think that Sweet Billing has not only a good use case for the people who really need that accounting rules and functionality, and doing subscription management directly out of NetSuite so you can fulfill and create those individual fulfillments. Let's say you've got um, subscription where you're fulfilling products or even usage based billing, that can work. Sweet billing used to not have it, but it has over the last few years really been able to handle usage based billing a little bit better than it used to be able to. So these are all really unique use cases that not all subscription management solutions can handle. But we've addressed the accounting side, and we started to talk on the e-commerce a little bit. And the ROI there is once you're doing really heavy subscription volume, you can surface that sweet billing because the model of sweet billing is not based on a transaction fee; it's based on just straight licensing. And you already are going to have to pay for your transaction lines in NetSuite either way, whether you're and then doing anything on a subscription management solution plus your transaction lines in NetSuite. So if you just have straight licensing with Suite Billing, then and just surfacing it to the portal, you're not getting double hit like you would if you were to get a third party subscription management solution passing the orders through NetSuite. So I think that there's some strategy long term for customers to leverage the module and really cut their software expenses down using Suite Billing versus other third party apps that charge on transaction fees. So I think that I found it to be a really good use case for those two. Have you ever thought about um, how people might interact with a subscription record? What are the types of things an admin modifies on subscriptions?
Yeah, well, in every subscription record, you're going to have it tied to the customer, of course, but also a specific billing account that is what holds all the charges that are built out within that subscription. So that's one of the required aspects of the subscription record. Um, Also, there it will show what type of you know items are in that subscription plan, and you can go in and modify those while the subscription is active if needed. um, you can add something, take something away, depending on the type of subscription plan you have built out. The subscription plan is kind of just a template that holds all the different items that would be included in a subscription, kind of like a bundle. Um, and that, when you're creating a sales order with a subscription and you select that subscription plan, it populates all of the items that are associated with that subscription. So that's where you can have that visibility in there. You can also uplift charges, as a subscription is ongoing. Uh, you can also have those specific uplifts or price modifications kick in during a subscription term. Um, you can also prorate things in the middle of a subscription right from that subscription record too. So a
Ah,
lot of
so the
information available on the subscription record.
interesting. So you mentioned a couple of unique things like the prorate is great. I mean, I'm imagining a rental for an apartment. You're prorated for the first part of the month.
Mhm.
That's good. And then the other thing you mentioned was that uplift. That sounds like a really good use case when let's say you're a software company. It's pretty common to have renewal caps when you sign licensing, where it's automatically going to increase between 5 to 10% annually. I mean, even NetSuite has that too, right? So that could be a really good way so that it's automated. You don't have to go through the renewal again. It just automatically raises the price every year by that percentage mark on if is that's part of the contract that the customer signed. So that can
Mm.
automate that, and it helps with when you're automatically changing the pricing of your subscription. It helps companies just get a little bit more revenue, helps offset some like annual raises, stuff like that, inflation. So it does make sense to have that automatic without having a lot of admin time to go get the contract updated in the pricing contract overall. So that makes a lot of sense. Um, I was thinking about something which is normally in NetSuite, people are used to like a sales order to cash process. And that makes sense when you have products, like a mix of subscriptions and normal products to fulfill and like create the subscription off of a sales order. But there are some companies that they don't really sell products, they're just selling software. Would we even want to use a sales order in that scenario? Like, is there a different way?
Um, it depends on, yeah, I guess if it's a software, you can get away without a sales order necessarily and just activate the subscription. But generally, it's a good practice to originate subscriptions from a sales order, even
Yeah,
if
and
it's
I think
just a
it probably
software.
depends if you are integrating to an e-commerce. Most e-commerce integrations are used to integrating to a sales order
Hmm.
rather than a subscription record. And I think that you're right that if you aren't using an external application and just inputting it directly into NetSuite, it probably makes sense just to create the subscription record. But in a scenario that you're originating part of the subscription or all of it via an e-commerce, it probably makes sense to leverage native integration flows, which typically tie to a sales order. And then if an item on the sales order contains subscription, then create the subscription record off of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Especially coming from Sweet Commerce, a web store. That the best approach there is sticking with the sales order because that's what it best supports. So, and that is especially important if there's just normal inventory items as well as some sort of subscription uh, product that is on that sales order. It can be used to fulfill that inventory item and then create that subscription all from the same place. So definitely more beneficial from a customer's perspective too.
And I suppose there could be times where you're just fulfilling off of a subscription record and you can fulfill directly off the subscription without a sales order. And it's also generating the invoices and we can create automatic payment on those invoices too. That's a way, like a path to automatically charge a card on file. So it can, if you just have a subscription record, you can fulfill off the subscription without the sales order. Plus, you can invoice off of the subscription. Where, well, that's the core functionality it's doing, I suppose. But being able to see the how all that billing occurs over time and have revenue recognition, just a really comprehensive solution across all departments, from accounting to operations and crossing into the marketing and e-commerce space. So I think Sweet Billing is a really good option for a lot of companies, especially an established business that is starting to get hit with transaction fees and wants to get them all looped into NetSuite. Makes a lot of sense to me. So thanks for walking me through this, Grant. And I know that as we talk to more people in our ecosystem, we'll be doing more and more implementations for everybody on Sweet Billing because it's a fun module and it always takes a little extra NetSuite skill sets to solution design it properly, to mold it into your business processes and customize it. And that's what we're here for. So thanks for walking through it. And I am looking forward to more customers working with you, Grant, and the rest of our team.
Thank you, Kale.